Hello and welcome back to the Kumi Cherie podcast. I am Kish Kumi Price,
I am Dina Cherie.
and we are excited to be with you again. And we don't take it for granted. So we understand that it is a privilege to be able to connect in this way. And we're just excited to download what God is uploading. And sometimes it's in the moment, literally in the moment. So we want to say that this is going to be called Encourage Yourself, Arise Beloved, Encourage Yourself, but kind of depends on exactly what God says as we go. So very quickly, I'm going to just say the reason why we're doing this is because this particular episode, we were talking about the very real need of, being in the moment of desperation for God, like needing God to relieve you from some burden, relieve some stress from your life, and in those moments, we talked about homework from our last episode was like, what are some encouraging scriptures? What are things that you can say and be building yourself up in? But also, an element of that is encouragement, encouraging yourself. So we just want to start with the grounding scripture, which is in 1 Samuel chapter 30, verse 6. And oh, so many choices here. I guess I'll read from the ESV. But it says, and David was greatly distressed, for the people spoke of stoning him, because all the people were bitter in soul, each for his sons and daughters. But David strengthened himself in the Lord his God. And other translations read as encourage himself, or strengthening yourself and encouraging yourself in the Lord. And just a little bit of context for this. It is in the moment of battles, right? David having victory and then being in a place where everything gets raided, everything gets taken away from him. And then he's sitting there in this space of understanding the people are mad and they want to stone him, kill him, because they are seeing him as the reason why their loved ones were captured. And then him trying to seek God about what's next. So it says he strengthened himself in the Lord. And then if we continue to read on, you'll see that the next verse talks about him asking for his ephod and talking to God and asking, should he pursue those that raided him? Like, should he go after them to pursue and receive, capture back the things that were taken from him? And God gives affirmation and says to go. So that's our groundwork. We're going to make this hit home for you, hopefully, and talking about our lives. So Dina, I'm going to pass it over to you to ask just kind of like, where does all of this sit for you? Like the relevance of encouraging yourself in the Lord and strengthening yourself in the Lord.
It's just, as the word of God is, it's extremely meaty, right? And there's so many different encouragements, right? Or words that you can get from the scripture alone, right? It's like, what path do you want to take? Because God's in all of them. So, the first thing I'm thinking about is like, he just came from this victory with his men, right? And they are excited about David, right? Leading them into victory. They come home and their families are gone. And I thought it was really important to note that they didn't kill anybody. They just took them away, right? They burned the city, but they didn't kill anyone. They just took the women and the children away, right? And so these same men who were lifting David up, rah, 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 flipped in a blink. They just got back to the house. You just blessed somebody. You just gave them $25. You just let them stay with you. You just let them borrow your car. You just did XYZ. And the minute that a situation ain't right, it ain't to your liking, you flip. And listen, we all know what that's like, right? We all know what that's like to sow into somebody, to help someone achieve a victory, right? And for that to then turn itself on its head, and you're like, where are y'all now? Because these same people wanted to stone him. Wanted to absolutely stone him. And so, I mean, it's like, I caught that first, right? And then I think about the fact how nimble David had to be on his feet, right? Because he's like, one minute he's trying to do the cabbage patch, and then he's like, wait, oh my gosh. And how he had to like he had that moment of sadness, right? Because he was distressed, but then was like, okay, I gotta seek God. Right. There's so many things. Like I just because I'll keep going because I'm like, there's so many
Right.
things in each verse that God is showing us how to respond to these times of distress. How to recognizing that same people who are with you, who are your fans, will become your enemies. Okay, check. How quickly David responded, who he went to.
Mm,
He didn't say, call such and such.
mm.
I'm a get on Facebook. I'm a get on Twitter.
He didn't.
I'm a He didn't. He said, I'm sad. Okay, my heart is sad. Look here. Let me ask God about it. He went to God. How much? I mean, okay, so I'll keep going. I'll keep going. So I'll stop there because there's so many things that God is showing in this scenario as to how we handle these times of distress, great distress, and how we can recover by encouraging ourselves and seeking Him. So I mean, and we're not even through the whole text. I mean, what was it? That was verse 7. We just the seventh verse. And God is already trying to help us in our daily lives already.
Already. And it's something to, I think, pause and think about when it says, but he found strength in the Lord his God. And I'm on to another translation here, but David found strength. But, like, first of all, the but, because it said he was greatly distressed, right? Which means that he was weakened in a weak state, like because he's stressed. He's distressed about the fact that he's lost his loved ones. It said his wives were taken, his family was taken like everybody else's. So he's in a place where he has to sit with that and understand this happened. It didn't just happen to these people that I'm leading, but it happened to me too. So how do I respond in this moment? Do I kind of shrink and join in the casting of stones? Like they
Right.
didn't do it, they were talking about it, but he could have started down that path himself. And sometimes we do that, right? Like we start stoning ourselves where we're just like, oh my gosh, I should have done this, I shouldn't have done that. And it's like we talk, the phrase life be life, and right, like, and it does, troubles come. God told us that, like, we should be prepared for trouble in this world. And when it happens, your response is what matters, right? Like, how do you respond when you are distressed? It didn't say we weren't going to be distressed, it didn't say we weren't going to feel weak. We do. But how do you respond, especially when it goes against the grain, when it's going against what everybody else is trying to say you deserve or how you should feel,
Yeah.
and how you yourself may be feeling like you're going against your own emotions, right? And it says that he found strength in the Lord his God. Now,
Right.
I'm going to pause on this because I feel like it's, like you said, it is meaty, and to chew on it in a way that we understand that this didn't just happen, right? This wasn't David's first encounter with obstacles and barriers and issues that he had to sit and grapple with, right? Like he has had plenty of encounters, right? And so it is a practice that he has strengthened in that area to be able to say, hey, when this happens, when I feel this way,
Yeah.
I can't find the strength. It's not my strength. I need the Lord's strength. So I need to strengthen myself. And it says in the Lord, his God,
Yeah.
which to me connotes relationship, right? It's not just in God or, and a lot of people, I'm so sick of it. I'm really sick of it. It's really annoying to me. I'm trying not to go off on a tangent, but it is annoying to me when, you know, I hear people like so excited about, professing their relationship with God and literally like have no relationship. And I know why, because we see the fruit. And so, like that wasn't his story. He had a relationship with God in a way that he could claim him as his God. And so, like I just believe that's really important for us to be in that kind of relationship. And
Yeah.
I'll end this little section with this. It's almost like where you see people in relationships on, say Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and their relationship status changes and they're like, we're in a relationship and we just, or they start, finally feeling cool about posting pictures with their boo and all that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you look at it and I know for me, sometimes I absolutely, if I know them, I'm praying. Like I pray that this works out. I pray this is good for you. I pray that this is not, that you won't be in a space where you're deceived or any, and that comes from my own
Right.
experiences,
Glory
right?
to the King.
But yes, but sometimes people get hung up in the actual outward image of the relationship as opposed to the actual inner work of truly building and having a relationship. Like I
Yeah.
just want to say I got a girlfriend or I got a boyfriend or I'm married just to be married, but what is your relationship like? Like what
Right.
does that inner intimacy look like? And for me, that connotes intimacy because I know who to go to. I'm not calling on my, uh, army and the folks. That's not the first people I'm going to. David didn't do that. I'm not
Right.
calling my friends first. I'm checking with God first when adversity hits. So anyway, I'll stop there.
One other thing, because I always kind of try, we always try to um make it life applicable, right? To see ourselves in the text. Sometimes when we read text, we're like, that's what happened to them, but really it's actually happened to us, and we just need to find how it's actually relating. And so one of the things that the Holy Spirit just kind of pulled out
Right.
was also like we go through life and we're going through a situation, a very trying time. And so imagine yourself, whatever the last thing you went through, you were going through it and God gave you victory and you came up out of that. But you're tired, right? You are emotionally tired. Sometimes you're physically tired
Mm,
because you have been in a war. You've been spiritually warfaring and going through this
right.
process that God
Right.
did give you victory in. But the truth of the matter is, when you have that
Mm,
victory, there's a part of you that's tired. There's a part of you that's like, I want to just like, thank you, God, for victory. You praise, you give him glory, but you just like, whoo, I need a reprieve. I need a break, right? So think
recover.
about these
Yes.
these
Yes.
men all having gone to battle. They at a war, right? Battle, and they got the victory.
Mm,
And they just wanted to come home to their booze, to their family. They wanted to eat.
and
They
chill.
wanted they wanted to eat, chill, and
Yes.
drink wine. And so they didn't even have that recovery time from the war
Mm-hmm.
to the victory that they got, right? They had to pounce back,
Mm,
because if you look at verse number, what we at? 8. Verse number 8, it tells you that
mm-hmm.
David, he asked God if he should pursue, and God said, pursue. You'll surely listen. God said you'll surely overtake them.
Yes.
We'll go back to that in just a second,
Mm-hmm.
because he said surely. But anyways, um,
Right.
but he had to take 600 men. He didn't say, I just need about 250 of y'all. Rest of y'all can go home. No, he said I need because everybody's people was gone.
Come on. Come
So
on. Dina, come on.
none of
No,
them,
no, I just keep it coming. Keep it coming.
none of them got to go through this battle and have the recovery time before they had to go back into a thing. And we sometimes feel like, God, I'm going through and you gave me the victory. And why is another thing happening?
Listen,
Go through no more. Okay.
listen,
All the people who do that, please stand up. Wave your hand.
listen,
Wave your hands in the
listen,
air. Because
from side to side.
from
Come
side
on.
to side, because you feel like you deserve a reprieve, you feel like you deserve a
Yes.
break, you feel like, God, I trusted you and you came through for me and I got the victory, and now I'm and God's like, no, there's another thing, there's another thing,
Right.
and there's another
Right.
thing I'm allowing to happen to you, there's another thing I'm allowing to happen to you. It's not
Come
lost on me
on.
that no one died, because don't they usually
Right.
kill the people, don't they usually kill the children and the
Yes.
women? Why didn't they
Yes.
kill the children
Yes.
and the women?
Come on.
And why did
Because
God
they
say
weren't
you will
supposed to be.
surely, you will surely
Come on.
overtake them? God
Come on.
didn't have to say surely. He didn't have to say that. He just could say, yeah, you'll win. Yeah, you'll overtake them. He said, surely you'll overtake them.
Surely. Certainly. Yes. Now, this is the crazy part about this, because and I'm still just like, wow, this is a lot to take in. But as you said, he asked for 600 men
Uh-huh.
to come with him
Yeah.
to the valley,
Mm-hmm.
and then it says where some stayed behind. 200 of them were too exhausted, to your point, to cross the valley. 200 of them
200.
were too exhausted to cross the valley. But David and the other 400 continued the pursuit. Okay, now what is that saying to me? I'm saying that I was blessed by hearing that there is this human element that sometimes we, especially as Christians, get caught up in the supernatural spirituality of things, that we neglect the actual physical manifestation of like how trials and tribulations impact our lives.
Yeah.
What I thought was so profound about this is that you would in this story, you want to be a part of the 400, right? You want to
Oh,
be
sure.
the ones that's like pursuing, that's got the extra second wind, the energy, that you're trusting God. You actually go and fight and pursue and bring back the family, your family, like you fight for that.
Yeah.
But there's victory in the 200. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like that is blessing me right now,
Yeah.
because God never asked us to be fake. He never asked us to be, unrealistic about
Yeah.
what we're going through,
Yeah.
right? Like he's like, yes, you have access to this power that I have.
Mm-hmm.
But if at any point in time you aren't able to tap in the way that you feel like you should be tapping in. Like I just think about times that I know I've beat myself up about, like, dang, like, why couldn't I be there for them? And why couldn't I
Yeah.
do this? And why couldn't I do that? Well, because I'm tired. Like, I'm actually physically tired. It's not
Yeah.
that I don't think God can and will work through me and could have worked through me,
Yeah.
but I was overwhelmed and exhausted to the point where I knew I needed to chill. I needed to stay put. I needed to stay behind. And what is awesome to me, like as we, continue to read through the passage, I don't know which parts of this God will continue to lead us to, but if you read through that passage, they get the victory.
Yeah.
Just like God said. He
Yeah.
said, pursue, and surely you're going to win. You're going to capture them. You will certainly overtake them and succeed in the rescue. That's what he says. And so they did. And what happened as they came back after doing exactly what God said they would do, and they come upon the 200, there were some men in the ranks that were like, y'all ain't getting nothing. Like, you stayed behind, you didn't fight with us. And they called those men evil men, right? Because they were in a place where they felt like they were more deserving because they were the ones that fought, and the
Yeah.
200 didn't join. And David said, we're not doing that.
We're not
Like,
doing that.
that they deserve just as much as we do because
Right.
they stayed here with the supplies,
Right.
and we're in this together.
Right.
Like, we're not going to divide based on who went and who didn't, who stayed behind. We're in this together. The victory is ours. And it's
Right.
so amazing to me because I feel like that's the part that we miss sometimes, is that we are in this thing called life together. And
Yes.
our victory is supposed to be our victory. Like when it says, rejoice when your brother rejoice, mourn when your brother mourn. So it is that piece that I think God just really, for me, it hit home to understand that and sometimes it's okay to go. Like
Yeah.
they went. They didn't
Yeah.
stay behind in the village. They went.
We
But then
went.
when they got to the valley, they were like, I'm tired. Like I have no more to give right now.
Yeah.
But they didn't turn around. They didn't go back. They protected the supplies. They
Right.
stayed, they still had purpose. So
Right.
yeah,
And it's
I just
important
wanted
to
to highlight
know,
that.
yeah, no, and that's beautiful because it's important to know that as you live your life, as we live our life, there are certain people that are going to go to a certain place with us, and they're not going to be able to go to that next leg. It doesn't mean that they're not faithful. It doesn't mean that they're not called to be with you. It just means this part they have to stay here for. They're not
Hmm.
going to be with you there. You're going to be able to tap back into that, tap back into them, have the relationship is not broken. However, this thing only you can go. This thing only you two can go. This thing, some of the people in the group of 10, all y'all not going to go all the way through. There's going to be a third of you all that stay back, but you're still friends, you're still related. And I think it's important to note
Come
that because
on.
sometimes we sever
Mm.
relationships unnecessarily because we don't understand the context of why that
Whew.
person was really brought to us and
Hmm.
why they're really with us. And sometimes we just couldn't, because there's that churchy thing where we like, you can't go with me, everybody can't go where you going, right? There's that whole thing, right? That church folks champion, right? But
Yes.
however, and that is true. But what I am also saying is that not everybody is meant to be completely cut off. Sometimes it's not about that. And I think that
Come
that's
on.
also speaking in this text is that, like, it's
You
not always
know,
about everybody going the full length. Some people will stay back, but they're still a part of your life. They're still a part of the journey. They still, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like as parents,
mhm,
we
mhm.
send our kids off to, we've been with them this whole way. Think about empty nesters. I've been with you this whole way. Mom and daddy, you can't go to college with your baby. But you gonna go there and listen, I'll cry because I got a senior getting ready to come up. I can't go to college with her. But that doesn't mean that our relationship is severed. She's got to go finish and get
Mhm.
the rest of the victory. She got to go and finish it. She can't bring me. She can't bring, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Timothy couldn't bring y'all.
Right.
Y'all had to stay back at the
Right.
house. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But you
Listen.
gonna get that victory when you
Listen.
cross.
That's it. We will all rejoice and
You will
celebrate
all
for sure.
rejoice. Yeah.
And I all of us. Yes, and it seems like, and this just kind of hit me too, because sometimes you know how you read and sometimes you have questions about things, but you're kind of like, why was that mentioned? Like that was a detail that was mentioned for what purpose? And so I thought it was interesting because it says in verse 17, it says, David fought them from dusk until the evening of the next day, and none of them got away. Right. And it said that these Amalekites were all over the area that they came, the countryside, right? And they were drinking and reveling and, just excited about the plunder and what they had gotten from David's camp. And then when it says he fought them, David fought them from dusk until the evening of the next day, and none of them got away except 400 young men who rode off on camels and fled. So the reason why I was kind of questioning that is because why did it mention how many men were able to get away. They got the victory. They were able to take back everything that had been stolen from them. But why were we told that there were 400 young men who rode off on camels and fled? Well, remember, David went with 600, but 200 were left behind. So there were only 400 men in David's army that were fighting against the Amalekites. So 400 remained and they rode away. They knew they were defeated, but those 400 left instead of those 400 fighting the 400, right? I don't know. It just made me think about the fact that, how does that happen in which God gave them the victory, but then there's still 400 men that were on these camels waiting to fight? No, they decided we lost this battle. So those 400 rode off on camels. And I thought about it because I'm thinking, sometimes I think we can get caught up in the victory and think that it's our victory. Like we forget what God did.
Yeah.
And to me, it is a testimony to God's presence, because if they had 400 men that left on camels and David only had 400 men there, why didn't they square up? It's because the presence of God allowed them to realize that it was no match. Like the battle was already won. They were
Right.
defeated. It didn't matter that they could go one-on-one because it was 400 and 400. So what I think we do, just like these evil folks that were in David's camp that got back to the 200 and was like, nah, y'all weren't a part of this. Like we won, we fought, we got that victory. We forget God sometimes, right? Like
Right.
God allowed the victory. People like Kish, God allowed the victory in your life. That wasn't you. It wasn't the people that were with you. Like, yeah, God works through us. We're his vessels, but it's all God. Without him, you lose. Like, and I think that's the part that we forget sometimes. And I'm just so grateful for that mention so that we know it wasn't like 5 guys riding off on camels. No, it's 400 men. And you're
Right.
standing there with your 400 men, but they feel defeated. It's not an equal fight when you got God on your side. It's just not.
Not at
So
all.
anyway, I don't know how this is gonna. I know we're recording for our podcast, and then we're also doing a video podcast. And Dina dropped off, but she's back now, so I want to hear what the Lord is speaking to you as we kind of wrap up here.
Well, I mean, I kind of missed a little bit, right? I picked it up though. I picked it up, but I think that the text is quite meaty, and I feel like what's we can grasp so many things about how, for one, we handle our own lives and our own victories, and then tragedies happening after that. Like, how do we respond to that? The proper way to respond to it, right? And then also, there's a component of, again, don't take God's glory, right?
Okay, I think we lost Dina again, so I am going to go ahead and say, you know what? Maybe this is all we need to share on this episode, but I hope you got something from it. We hope you got something from it. And we are praying with you and for you as you continue on this journey to just really tap into understanding that God is for you, right? He is for you, and that you can strengthen yourself in the Lord, your God, right? It's about relationship with him. And I know sometimes we are conditioned to, when life hits, you want to call the closest person. Like, you want to call your husband, your wife, your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your friend, right? And a lot of times God is just like, call me. Like, call me. I have instruction for you, right? Inquire of me. Ask me what you need to do. And sometimes I know we tend to fail in doing that sometimes because we want a live word. Like, we want to hear something, right? We want to hear somebody tell us what to do. Well, God provides instruction. He absolutely does. And we're going to just work on that this week, is really talking to God, having those real life conversations with him about what it is that he desires for us in our times of need, and to really refrain from stoning yourself, right? So that's our homework. I know we try to give a little bit after each episode in this new season, but thank you so much for joining us. We love you. We appreciate you. If you got anything from this, we absolutely ask that you like, share, subscribe, help somebody else to get blessed. And we'd love to hear from you as always, through Facebook or Instagram. We need to work on our social media. We know that. So, but we'd love to hear from you. And if you're watching on YouTube, drop us a comment and we will reply. So thank you so much. And we just pray that you have a blessed week. And we look forward to joining in with you again next week. All right. Bye bye. Kumi Cherie.